I want this to be more of an educational thing for you guys, and you can ask all the questions you want. Brenda Edmiston is running NAMG, which is a sister organization to Orange Coast Title that runs our short sale processing department. And she works with the banks every day, all day long. She knows what they like. She knows what they don't like. She could probably think for them because she's downloaded all of their brains, right? So she is just a valuable resource to all of us in trying to understand the short sales. She'll also explain to you what we do as NAMG to assist the agent free of charge, which is always nice. And so I'm going to just highlight a couple of things from Orange Coast Title this morning. If you don't have my card, I've got some up here. We've got quite a few tools and resources in addition to NAMG that a lot of agents are really, really appreciating. One of our best ones is the mobile app. In fact, I'm going to just pass this around. You know, different title companies have different dynamics and different tools and resources, and we're so limited now because of RESPA laws that, you know, we're afraid to sneeze. But this is one thing that is approved that we can provide for you guys. The mobile app. One of the greatest features of the mobile app is when you're at a property, you can GPS a property profile right on the spot. So if you're with a buyer and they want to know what the situation is on that home, just GPS it and pull it right up, and you can really find out what kind of equity is in the home or whatever you need to find out about that home. It's really, really cool. It also integrates directly with the net sheet. So if you do up net sheets online, it's integrated with that property profile, and you can email it directly to your clients. And you can do, I love our net sheets because a lot of times, I don't know about you, but as a buyer's agent, one thing that I was really frustrated with is I would get the GFE from the lender, and I would get the net sheet from the title and escrow, and there were several fees that were missing in the process for inspections and different things and they're trying to calculate all this. Do I have enough cash in the bank and yada yada yada. Well, with our net sheet that you can tweak online, you can put in all of these extra fees, and it'll be all lined right up there, so they've got one line item that they have to worry about of cash to come in with, okay? So it's really a slick system. If you want to learn how to use it, let me know. It's really the sweetest system I've seen in the industry, and I've used quite a few different title companies as an agent. I've worked for quite a few different title companies in the last 15 years. Actually, it was more than that. So, you know, and they all are evolving. They all have different dynamics, like I said, different tools. But this is one of them that I think stands alone with the GPS property profile system. And then also quite a few documents you can get. If you're standing, let's just say, at a house and the people are freaking out over supplemental taxes, well, what are supplementals, or what is Melrose? You can go right into that mobile app, pull up a document, and email it to them right while you're standing there talking, or while they're walking around the house looking at something else. Pull it up and send it to them right from the mobile app. It's really a slick system. The other thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of is that we have our prelims have hyperlinks in them. Okay, so if you're reading the prelim and you need to understand something about an easement or a document or whatever it is, you can click right on that and understand it. We are also getting ready to roll out something highly unique, nothing like it in the industry that I'm aware of, and that's the talking prelim. You will be getting with your prelims down the road, it's a few months out. I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but I am telling my favorite peeps. That you'll be getting like a 1-minute explanation with the prelim that highlights anything that you should be concerned about. Isn't that cool? So, talk to me about the mobile app, talk to me about the net sheet, talk to me about the hyperlinks. I'd love to explain a little bit more to you. Just wanted to cover a few things that we have available. But the biggest feature for the day is our short sale processing team, and Brenda runs the whole organization. You guys are very fortunate to have her here. It's hard to get her because she's so busy with so much going on, but I got the old rodeo thing going on and lassoed her and got her over here, so.
Yeah, she should be working on my phone.
She
Yeah,
should
really.
be, yeah. So come on up,
Thanks for
Brenda.
the nice introduction, Lori.
You're the best.
Okay. Well, first I'm going to just start out and tell you a little bit about myself and my background, because if you're going to be bringing a short sale through me, you'll probably want to know that. I started out I worked for the banks as an REO asset manager in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I worked in their loss mitigation department. Then I moved out here to California about 3 years ago, became a realtor, got more and more involved in short sales, and done probably over 300 short sales. So I think that when I'm dealing with the banks, I have an advantage than an agent talking to the bank, is because I put myself at their level. I am the same as them. I tell them, you know what? I've been an asset manager. I know how you feel. You're overloaded. You've got 150 files. So now I'm one of them. So when I'm talking to them, they want to work with me because I'm them. So and then if I don't get the answer from them, I'll call back again and again and again and get the answer that I want. So, and I know that short sales take a long time and take a lot of your time. And so it's easier if you have somebody else taking that time, and then you guys can go do what you need and sell, get more houses, get more listings. And that's another thing in our department too, where I will be giving out leads to every new short sale that comes into the department. So a little bit about our short sale department. There's a couple ways you can do it. We go directly to your seller, so you don't have to collect any of the documents at all. What we'll do is we'll give each agent an information sheet, and it looks like this, and I'll pass this out. And then underneath it is an agent checklist. And then that information sheet. So basically what you'll do is you'll just fill out this information sheet. And it's real important if you answer all the questions. This helps us to better know what we're going to be dealing with and what banks we're going to be dealing with. And what we'll do is we'll send your client, your seller, we're going to send them all the short sale required documents along with any bank-specific forms that need to be completed. And then I'll go through, what I do is I'll order the prelim for you, we'll open escrow, I'll look at the prelim, and I'll look at your offer. Because a lot of times what happens is before it even actually goes to the bank, I review everything. Because if there's any judgments on your property, these banks are not paying for judgment. So at that point, I call you up to, hey, you've got a judgment. How do you want to handle this? And let's say, and most of the times, you've got a listing, you've got an offer. So I'll let you know ahead of time and say, look, here's what is the value of your property? Can we go lower in the offer and do an addendum that states the buyer's going to pay up to so much towards the judgments or any liens? Or sometimes some of the agents are actually getting proactive and they're putting an addendum in the MLS stating buyer to pay up to $3,000 for any judgments or liens against the property or any kind of liens or judgments that the bank is not going to pay. And this is such a seller's market that it's just happening. They don't care. They're buying the property, whether they have to pay $3,000 towards liens, judgments, they're doing it. So, but I review every prelim, and I'll let you know ahead of time if there's something that we need to discuss before it goes to the bank. Because we don't want to send an offer to the bank if it's not going to go through. So I make sure I look at every little detail. And banks are getting real specific. Every every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed. So I make sure that all those things are done. And then, so once I gather up all the documents and we fax everything over to the bank, then your property will be assigned to a negotiator. So what I do for you, there's no cost for you. Your clients can call me if they have questions. I'll call your clients if you're out on an appointment and you don't know much about short sales. I'll walk you through it with your client. You tell your client, I have a short sale specialist on staff. And so, and I address them as I'm working for you, which I am. And so the clients are very happy, they're feel at ease because I'm part of your team. We're all a team together on this. They don't feel like they're treated like I'm separate from you. So if your sellers have any questions, they call me at any time because I'm usually at my desk. And then once all the documents are with the bank, then we assign a negotiator. Currently we have 3 negotiators, and we keep our negotiators' numbers of short sales pretty low so that they can give great customer service to the agents.
How many files do they have roughly?
30. Each negotiator will have only 30 files because I want to make sure I don't want them overloaded. So I've interviewed every negotiator. Now these negotiators are separate from us. They're a totally different company. But I trust all these negotiators and their skills and what they can do for you. And we use a system called Relay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Relay from car forms. Okay, so we put everything, all your documents, all our communications with the banks, emails, we email you, you email us, it's all in Relay. You have access, if you want to have access to it, we can give you access to it where you can view everything. So all your contacts are in there, the bank's phone number, fax number, so when we actually take the file and give it to the negotiator has everything that they need right there in that file to move forward and negotiate with the bank. Whether it's 1 loan, 2 loans, 3 loans, it's a $500 flat fee for the negotiator. So in that once closing hits, then the agent, that comes from the agent's commission, the $500. And that's really a great deal right now. That's really, really a good deal. Or there's also the option of once we've completed all the documents, sent them over to the banks, then the agent can either have the choice to take the file back and negotiate themselves. But I will tell you, I don't have one agent that does that. Every agent uses our negotiators. But that's an option for you too. Does anybody have any questions?
I realize the work's the same, but what if the price is a condo at like $70,000? Is the price still $500?
It's $500 flat fee.
Okay.
Now, on this $500 flat fee, I'm assuming all agents are doing 2.5% commission to the buyer's side, right? So that more than covers that $500 fee. And if you do an addendum that states, we'll ask the bank to pay for the negotiation fee, and if you have an addendum that states that the buyer is to pay any fees that are not covered by the bank up to a certain amount, we'll ask the buyer's side to pay for that then. Because that's part of those fees. And we've asked the bank for that, so we can have the buyer's side pay for that negotiation fee. You can do up an addendum to have the buyers pay for the negotiation fee. Buyer's side to pay for a $500 negotiation fee, and if they agree to that, then they agree to that. Right now, everything that's coming across my desk, I have those addendums, buyers are agreeing to it. I had not one person reject it. Because we all know there's nothing out there for sale right now, so buyers are doing it, whatever it takes. Yep. So one of the things I'm going to do for today, does anybody have a business card? Because I have some leads in this Gold River area. I pulled up 10 leads. So I'm going to give out 10 leads to somebody today. I'm going to draw a card, and we're going to give out 10 leads, and I'm going to give you some door hangers. And that's another thing that we give out too. Every short sale that comes into our office, you will get 10 leads in that area where you have your listing, and then we're going to give you some door hangers to work the neighborhood. And then if you get another listing in that neighborhood, if you choose, we can go to another neighborhood and give you leads from another neighborhood, because obviously we've worked the neighborhood already. So does everybody have a business card? Write their name on something?
I have one going with you right now, but I don't think I got 10 leads.
We just started this.
But we'll get
You know what? Give me your name. I'll get you some templates for it. So if everybody hands me their business card, we'll have Lori draw the name, Lori, and then I'll give you the 10 leads.
Hey Roger, I just got a text from someone that said, I'm with a gal by the name of Irene Taff. I said, well, I'm with her husband, Roger.
And these leads they're NOD leads. They're notice of defaults. These leads, there's no listing on them. They haven't been sold, so these are pretty good leads. I'm sure you guys know how to get your own leads, but these are from MLS. Okay, go ahead and draw one up.
Okay, I'm gonna find something to put it in.
Oh, here, I got here.
On top
Here's
of
the
the microwave.
Oh, they're all.
Oh,
Put them on.
I'll just go like this, just point
Okay,
in
here.
the right direction.
all right, here we go. Pick a card, any card. There you go.
Scott Yesitis.
Yes, it is.
Is that how you say it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Oh!
I love it.
Okay, so we are actually getting new
That's great.
door hangers made up. These are the last that we have right now, but we're getting new door hangers made up. So there you go. You're welcome. There's $1 million house in there too,
All right.
by the way.
Nice.
Go there first.
That would be nice. So, does anybody have any questions? No? Anybody, are you guys doing short sales right now?
Yep.
Who's doing
Yeah.
short sales? Everybody doing short sales? You gotta be
So
doing
you
short
do all
sales.
the dialogue on Equator and so forth?
Yes,
for
sir,
B2B,
yeah,
Chase
I-
loans and-
Yeah, I put all my agent short sales on Equator. So I actually do everything with Equator. Some of the agents want to do their own Equator, but I try to advise them not to, because what happens when we get emailed from Equator, we don't see it, it goes directly to the agent. So it's much easier if I just put it in my Equator and we work from there.
The
And
thing I really love about this service too, from a realtor's perspective, we already drew, I'm so
Oh.
sorry, I didn't know that.
It's all right.
You ran out there.
But I'll take your card anyway.
Yeah, we'll take that,
It's not even a card.
yeah.
Um,
The thing that I love is you've got a couple of layers here. If you're using an outside negotiator, a third-party negotiator, that's who you've got, okay? But with Brenda, once this file goes over to the negotiator, they're really kind of still in her bailiwick, and a lot
Right.
of times what I'll do is just call her and say, you know, I've got an agent that has a question, they just need another opinion, can I get your opinion? And
Right.
she'll get involved in the mix. And so it's kind of a really good check and balance system with this situation. It's not only less expensive, there's some extra little measures that are involved.
And there's you gotta think too, we've got 3 negotiators, myself and my assistant, working on these files. Now, if there's something that I don't know, I'll go to the other negotiator and say, hey, have you guys run into this? This is the first time I ran into this. And so we're working with each other and saying, bouncing things off each other. So if I don't have the answer, they don't have the answer, I have the answer, somebody has the answer. And so it's really nice that you don't just have one person, you have a whole bunch, you have a whole team working to get your short sale closed.
Brenda, what's the average time now to get a short sale approved? Just average.
Well,
No
when I
big
request a short sale, when I put on the HUD, I put it out 4 months, but typically we don't go out 4 months, maybe 3 months. A lot of them are getting quicker and quicker, they've got a better response time for us. So, and Aquin is going to be going on Equator, I don't know if you guys knew that. Which is better, because, I mean, Aquin is really, I mean, they don't think so outside the box, it's hard. So when you're working in Equator, it'll be a lot better. GMAC, you know, is an Equator, and GMAC is now Aquin. Aquin is doing all their loans, by the way. You can still call the GMC line and get through, but it's Aquin. And they are, if you have a short sale with GMAC, it's going to be on Equator.
Brenda, also, it used to be that B of A had a bad reputation. We
No,
get those
they're so
closed
easy.
early on.
Yeah.
Early on, and then they got things fixed, and then it's Green Tree, and then who are the most difficult ones now?
I would say some of these credit unions are really the one that's really hard, because they don't have enough staff and they're overworked. So the thing is with them, it can take a long time. So if you have a credit union involved, it can take a long time. Now I do have some connections with like schools credit union, and so when I work with them, I just talk to a certain person, and it's usually pretty quick. So if you can build, if I build relationships with the same person in the credit union, usually I can get in and talk to them about how helpful they've been, and they always really help me out.
How's
But
Nationwide?
Nation Star?
Nation Star's
You know what, Nation Star is pretty easy to work with. They're on Equator too. I haven't really had any problems. I know a lot of people complain about Nation Star too, but you know, I haven't ran into any issues with Nation. Aquin is probably the top, and sometimes Green Tree's pretty difficult to work with. Those are the main 2.
How about BK issues?
You know what? We do bankruptcy all the time. We don't have any problems with that. You can do a short sale even while it's in BK. The only thing that you're going to have to do is, if it doesn't get discharged, what we'll have to do is you have to have, the attorneys will have to go to the courts and ask them for permission to sell the house. Pardon me?
Notice to remove the lien.
Yeah, well, permission to sell the house is what they have to do. When they're in a bankruptcy, they have to get the court's permission to sell the home. And then, but that costs more for the client. I have to tell you this, the attorney's going to charge them for that. And it's usually over $500.
I did several last year, and 3 or 4 of them had BK issues. And what I ran into 2 or 3 times was seconds being discharged in the BK, but no notice to remove lien was ever issued by the attorneys. So then you get the second, and they refuse to release the lien. They
No,
have
you
to-
know, they're not gonna release that
No.
lien. They are not gonna release that lien. Because just because they file bankruptcy, this is a misconception, is just because they file bankruptcy does not mean that you're no longer responsible for that house. You've got to make sure, and attorneys don't do this, they've got to follow, clients should follow up with their attorneys that that house foreclosed or it was short sale. That's the only way to get rid of it, because they are still responsible for that home. And if the city fines them for their grass or anything like that, they're still responsible for that. So when you get somebody that, oh, I filed bankruptcy, oh, well, wait a minute, I don't see that the property foreclosed, and they don't know that.
But in the bankruptcy,
They discharge.
the
You still have to,
the
you still
debt
have to
is
release it.
discharged.
Right.
But the bank can still enforce the lien unless you go back to the attorney that did the bankruptcy and you get them to get the judge to issue an order to remove the lien.
You don't have to go that route. You don't have to go that route. When you're doing, if you're going to do a short sale, what you can do is you can have the first pay for the second, part of the second, to release the lien, and they'll release the lien. That's how I do it all the time.
Just like a regular.
Just like a regular short sale. You don't have to go back to the courts to get some release. You don't have to do that. You can just do it through a regular short
It's pretty easy to get that
sale.
done.
Okay.
And then
Well, if they release the
was,
lien, yeah.
and the case was, the second was digging their heels in, saying we want 15,000, or no, the half was going to give you 6, and maybe it wasn't a half.
Was that a while back ago?
A year ago.
Okay, because
And
banks
so-
are getting a little bit better with regards to negotiating and what they'll accept, and so I mean we seem to do pretty well with negotiations.
I got the lien release, then
Well, that's
I didn't
good.
have to deal with them at all.
That's great then, yeah. If you can do it that way, but that's an added that can be an added cost for your seller. They might say, oh, well, that's an added cost, but maybe the attorney just didn't follow through, and most of these attorneys don't. Either
Right.
they don't get it released, or they don't say, well, you're still responsible if this property doesn't foreclose or you don't do a short sale. So that happens a lot. But you can do a short sale even though the person is in the middle of a BK. I can still work with the banks all day long. I get permission from the attorney's office. So as long as you have that, that's why on that sheet you'll see if they're in bankruptcy, you need to let me know. Let me know if it's been discharged or if it hasn't been discharged, and then I'll need the attorney's information.
My question is for Dave primarily. Is there any legal responsibility in using a third party such as this that we have to disclose or have our client sign a hold harmless that we're using a third party for negotiation purposes?
It's really smart to have, we've talked about it before. You should have them acknowledge the fact that you're releasing their documents. I'm sure that
We do have a
that
document.
they have a document.
Yes.
I know that Lori Frey, who I use, we actually have a document that has to be signed by our client,
Yeah.
indicating she's working on it. Yeah, you cannot release under the Truth in Lending Act. You can't release information of your client to a third party without their permission.
Yeah, we do. There is our attorneys draw up a document that states that we're going to be processing their short sale and with Connect Realty and the agent's name.
But let's talk about liability. This is supporting what she's talking about. The typical agent, and I'm going to use a percentage, and the Lord can strike me dead. I would say that 98% of the typical agent on the street cannot properly work a short sale. You don't understand the banking system, you don't understand the negotiators, you don't understand the 6-month history of what's going on, and litigation is going to be on the rise. I do work with Wilkie and Flory downtown, and they are expecting a barrage of lawsuits over people who were quote-unquote misrepresented during the short sale transactions where the properties ended up in foreclosure. Now you have a 7-year hit on credit that affects their ability to do business, get loans, yang. It is prudent. It is my opinion as a broker, that's Dave Searcy speaking, and I'm also speaking for Connect. I think it is very prudent, if you are working on a short sale, that you get your file done and you turn it over to someone who has short sale experience. So if something goes wrong, you have her, you have somebody like Lori, and these people are handling hundreds of them. They know what they're talking to. They know what NationStar did last month. They know what Wells Fargo did last month. They knew what B of A did 6 months ago and what's going on now. So your client is properly represented. You have a fiduciary responsibility in acting on behalf of your client to make sure that they are exposed and provided the proper information as it pertains to their real estate transaction.
And we track everything.
Does that make
in the
sense?
system. When we're communicating with the bank, we have everything, all our notes, everything's in our system. And then when we get an approval letter, I review it. We review all those approval letters to make sure it's what we're looking for and what the client's looking for. And every Friday, you do get an update on the short sale. And in between, if we're working the file in between and we need something from you or the sellers or something, you'll see that too. But every Friday, you did get a status report of what's going on with your short sale.
When you said about the paperwork in the beginning, that you take all we get all the paperwork to you, or are you just talking about the bank paperwork?
No, you don't get it. I get it from your seller. Unless they don't speak English, a lot of times then the agent will gather up all the documents. So basically what you'll do is you'll just fill out that one form. I'll go directly to your seller and get everything. That form will tell me which banks that they have their mortgage with. And it's important that you answer all the questions on there. I can tell you, I have not had one agent, not one, ever send me a file that is complete and done correctly. Not one. I go through everything, and just like kind of a TC, I make sure signatures, initials, everything's in the right spot. Did you put the address? Nobody puts the seller's or buyer's address underneath there. Well, the banks want them. You know where confirmation of acknowledgement? Not one purchase agreement ever comes through with that acknowledgement. And I know your broker wants that. I know they do. But for me, it doesn't matter to me, because these aren't you know what? Because by the time you turn it into your broker's going to deal with you on that. But with me, the bank's going to tell me. Sometimes the bank are okay without that initial there, but they want the address, they want everything filled in properly. And the things that I can fill in, I will fill in for you. Like the zip code, you're missing the zip code, oh boy, it gets returned to me. Dates missing, gets returned. So they are particular about everything. I haven't seen a lot of stuff that's, not one agent ever gets it right. So, and that's okay, but that's why I'm there. I'm here to look through your documents and make sure everything's correct.
Well, they want copies of the listing agreement as well.
Yes, yeah. In that, on the second page in there is the agent document list. And those are the documents I need from you. So when you send that information sheet to me, I'll need those things on that agent checklist from you. And the other stuff I'll get from the listing, or the seller. And if there's anything missing from the buyer's side, I'll go directly to the buyer. So that way you don't have to go back to the buyer's agent, then the buyer's agent comes back to you, then they come to me. There's time, waste. So it's much easier if I go direct, get it from them, so it's not he, you, me, there, you're out a couple days sick, and then, time is of the essence.
And then that $500 fee if you want the buyer to pay for it, you put that just on an addendum on the RPA somewhere.
Yep.
The RPA, we can put it on that page.
We've always been told that that has to come out of our our.
I've seen it in MLS where they want $3,500 for a negotiator.
Yep.
And I just,
Well, you can't tell them that, because that's not a true statement. What is a true statement? Our negotiation fee is $500.
well, that's what it said.
Now, there is a built-in processing fee of $300 to process your paperwork through the title company and through NAMG. And it's built into the escrow fee. And then that escrow fee, the bank pays for that. So just to let you know, there is a processing fee of $300, and it's built right into the escrow fee. We don't itemize it to the bank. They don't know that it's a negotiation fee in there. They're good. They're okay with us just putting in, your escrow fee, whatever it is. We add $300 to it, and they pay it. The only one that doesn't pay the whole amount will be Bank of America. They have a cap. They're the only ones I've seen that come back, because their cap is $750. So what will happen if it's over $750? then it'll go over to the buyer's side. And I haven't had not one person ever say anything about it.
Title fees, you're talking about?
Escrow fees.
Escrow fees have to be
Yes.
both buyer and seller.
Well, you can split it if you want. You can split it so we won't run into that issue. You can just automatically put it in your MLS, buyer and seller split escrow fee, and then then it's half. They split it half and half.
I don't see third-party authorization in here.
That's not on there because that's something I asked from the seller. That'll on that list, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, the third-party authorization all goes to the seller. Everything goes over to the seller. They sign it, and if I need your signatures on it, you can sign
So
it
you
too.
go directly to them. 'Cause a lot of banks
Yep.
have their own
Right.
required form.
Yep, and I
for-
send those over to them. And then once I get those back from them, then I'll get your signature on it, if whatever needs your signature on it.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
She brought up a question. What does JRE say about a buyer's agent charging the buyer a fee for negotiating a short sale?
Because
Well,
you can't
their
do a
buyers are-
transaction, you can't do a TC fee.
The buyers aren't paying, I've never had that, because the buyers are not, about the buyers paying the transaction fee? The negotiation
So
fee?
on the seller side, you're okay.
Right. But but the seller's asking the buyer to pay for it. Is what's happening.
Is that okay?
I haven't run into a problem with it.
Department of Real Estate says that if you are instructed in writing by the seller to collect the fee, that it's okay. Must be instructed by the seller in writing. That's why you see all the
These
addendums being done by the short sale agents now, signed by the seller.
Yep.
And it has to be provided to you prior to you writing your offer. That's an seller instruction.
If you put it in, that's why I said, put it in the MLS. Put an addendum in the MLS, already signed by the seller, in there stating how much they're going to be paying for either negotiation fee or any fees that are not paid by the bank.
So that would go in as an attachment that they can click on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I've seen a lot.
Because the buyers are paying for any fee, especially these SMUD liens that are out there. Banks aren't paying those SMUD liens. And
What?
SMUD is not negotiated.
Sacramento
they
Municipal
won't.
Utility District.
There's a house in Folsom that just sold, there was $13,000 in liens. And the addendum that the agent, she did an excellent job on her addendum. And it was number 7 or 8, and she had the lien, who it was with, the date of the lien number, and buyer agrees to pay.
Yep.
End of story. And so that all had to be executed when you turned in your contract. It was right up front. She
Yeah,
only
you
had
can't do it
she only had
afterwards.
52 offers on the house.
Yeah.
Folsom, yeah.
Yeah, it's best to deal with all that up front, so
Nice.
it's real important, if you get a listing or you have a listing coming up, let us know right away so we can order that prelim and I can tell you, oh, look at all these judgments. Let's nip this in the bud before you put it on the MLS and let the buyers pay for these judgments and then they can put in their offer accordingly.
I used to do the short sales myself and realized that I was holding on to a lot of confidential information that a normal real estate transaction would not have, such as
Correct.
tax records and bank statements and
Correct.
social security numbers. So doing it yourself adds a different level of security measures that you've got to keep in place with your files. So it makes sense to pay the $500 and have you guys assume that liability of
Right.
holding that security stuff.
Yeah, and we put that into a relay. It's a car program. So,
Great.
any questions? Okay.